So the subject of censorship, control, and surveillance continues through this video here, as we have ourselves quite the interesting number to talk about. And this right here just shows another clear-cut example as to why the UK really needs to learn to stay in its own lane and not bite off more than what they can chew. With that being said, folks, let's begin with this. We have ourselves an article from the BBC that says, 4chan will refuse to pay daily online safety fines, lawyer tells BBC. A lawyer representing the online message board 4chan says it won't pay a proposed fine by the UK's media regulator as it enforces the Online Safety Act. According to Preston Byrne, managing partner of law firm Byrne and Storm, Ofcom has provisionally decided to impose a £20,000 fine with daily penalties thereafter for as long as the site fails to comply with its request. Ofcom's notices create no legal obligations in the United States, he told the BBC, adding he believed the regulator's investigation was part of an illegal campaign of harassment against U.S. tech firms. Ofcom has declined to comment while its investigation continues. 4chan has broken no laws in the United States. My client will not pay any penalty, Mr. Burns said. Ofcom began investigating 4chan over whether it was complying with its obligations under the UK's Online Safety Act. Then, in August, it said it had issued 4chan with a provisional notice of contravention for failing to comply with 2 requests for information. Ofcom said its investigation would examine whether the message board was complying with the act, including requirements to protect its users from illegal content. 4chan has often been at the heart of online controversies in its 22 years, including misogynistic campaigns and conspiracy theories. Users are anonymous, which can often lead to extreme content being posted. Now, obviously, I'm not going to gloss over the fact that 4chan, yes, is a platform that does have a mixed bag of history. Good history and really bad history. But putting all of that aside, can we just admire the fact that 4chan basically said no to the UK and told them to fuck off? Like, seriously, what does 4chan or YouTube or any other platforms for that matter have to fear when it comes to UK and their absolutely humongous hard-on for censorship, control, and surveillance? I mean, here's the thing, right? Is that if the UK wants to do this shit within their own country, then by all means, you fucking go nuts. I don't agree with it, but you go nuts. But as long as you keep that type of pussy bitch shit contained in your country, then you know what? Whatever. But when you're trying to pull that type of shit when it comes to other countries, well, you bet your asses that we're going to fight back. And I'm glad that 4chan is making an example out of this type of shit right here by telling you guys no and where to go and how to get there. Like, I want to see more big platforms stand up against the UK and tell them no to this nonsense. If you're going to enforce yourselves in your own fucking country. Leave the rest of the world the fuck out of this madness. First Amendment rights. In a statement posted on X, law firms Byrne and Storm and Coleman Law said 4chan was a U.S. company incorporated in the U.S. and therefore protected against the UK law. American businesses do not surrender their First Amendment rights because a foreign bureaucrat sends them an email they wrote. Under settled principles of U.S. law, American courts will not enforce foreign penal fines or censorship codes. If necessary, we will seek appropriate relief in U.S. federal court to confirm these principles. They said authorities in the U.S. had been briefed on their response of Ofcom's investigation. The statement concludes by calling on the Trump administration to invoke all diplomatic and legal levers to protect American businesses from extraterritorial censorship mandates. Ofcom has previously said the Online Safety Act only requires services to take action to protect users based in the UK. Now, First Amendment rights, that is an absolutely humongous point that I feel that a lot of these big tech companies are completely forgetting about. It's like, you guys have a right to free speech. You guys have a right to stand your ground. You have a right to say no, especially when it comes to nonsense like this Online Safety Act type of bullshit from the UK. Let's make it completely and utterly clear that this Online Safety Act fiasco is nothing but a veiled attempt at censorship, surveillance, and control. Like, instead of platforms like TikTok and YouTube bending the knee to the influence of the UK and Australia, they need to remember the First Amendment rights, because it isn't just the platforms themselves that could be affected by this, but obviously every single user outside of the UK would be affected by this too. So I say to all of the big tech companies that don't reside in the UK, dig deep, touch your balls, remember who the fuck you are, and say no to this type of shit. UK backs down. Some American politicians, particularly the Trump administration, its allies, and officials, have pushed back against what they regard as overreach in the regulation of US tech firms by the UK and EU. A perceived impact of the Online Safety Act on free speech has been a particular concern, but other laws have also been the source of disagreement. On August 19th, U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said the UK had withdrawn its controversial demand for a backdoor in an Apple data protection system, saying she worked with the President and Vice President to get the UK to abandon its plan. 2 days later, U.S. Federal Trade Commission Chairman Andrew Ferguson warned big tech firms that they could be violating U.S. law if they weakened privacy and data security requirements by complying with international laws such as the Online Safety Act. Foreign governments seeking to limit free expression or weaken data security in the United States might count on the fact that companies have an incentive to simplify their operations and legal compliance measures by applying uniform policies across jurisdictions, he said. If 4chan does successfully fight the fine in the US courts, Ofcom may have other options. Enforcing against an offshore provider is tricky, Emma Drake, partner of online safety and privacy at law firm Bird & Bird, told the BBC. Ofcom can instead ask a court to order other services to disrupt a provider's UK business, such as requiring a service's removal from search results or blocking of UK payments. If Ofcom doesn't think this will be enough to prevent significant harm, it can even ask that ISPs be ordered to block UK access. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, when you push back a little bit, the opposition is eventually going to back down. The UK backed down when it came to this whole ordeal. That is fucking comical. Now, this section here actually brought up more factors when it comes to why this Online Safety Act, why this bending the knee to the UK's demands is an absolutely bad idea. It goes just beyond censorship, surveillance, and control. This right here could severely compromise in a negative way your privacy and data security. And here's another bit that really gets me, is the absolute gall, the audacity for the UK to so boldly demand for a backdoor in an Apple data protection system. Like, are you joking me with this? Like, why the fuck would you need a backdoor when it comes to Apple data? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. It is very suspicious as hell. Like, I feel sorry for everyone that lives in the UK that has to answer to these fucking jokers in their government. And on that note, actually, let me just clear something up real quick. I don't have an issue at all when it comes to people that reside in the UK. The part that I'm very critical about when it comes to the UK is the way that they run their government, because, like I said, they have a massive boner when it comes to control, censorship, and surveillance for anything online. And they're doing all this under the false pretense of safety for kids. I mean, they're just using that as a way to mask their true intentions here. Like I said, I feel sorry for all of the residents in the UK that has to deal with and answer to these jokers in their government. But if there's anything to take away from this video, I think that every single other tech company outside of the UK needs to follow in 4chan's example, because the fact that 4chan had the balls and the brains to stand against UK and their bullshit, that right there just shows that when you stand firm and stand strong against bullies, well, they back down real quick. But with that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think about this? Leave your thoughts in the comments and have yourselves a damn good one. I'll see you guys in the next video.